If one big beautiful bill has left you with one big confusing question, turn to BHM CPA Group. Their experienced professionals break down complex changes in tax law, accounting, and business regulations so you can make informed decisions with confidence. Simplifying the complex is what BHM CPA Group does best. Don't wait. Visit BHMCPAGroup.com and let's get to work. BHM, because running a business is hard enough. Your finances shouldn't be. Visit BHMCPAGroup.com today. Legislation is changing. Budgets are shifting, and terms like one big beautiful bill can feel anything but beautiful. That's where BHM CPA Group steps in. BHM's purpose is to simplify the complex. Their team is trained to meet today's challenges with real-world solutions in tax, accounting, and business planning. Get the clarity you deserve so that your business can thrive. Don't wait. Visit BHMCPAGroup.com. That's BHMCPAGroup.com. BHM, because running a business is hard enough. Your finances shouldn't be.
It's Monday.
It's October 6th.
And the word of the day is Tamalou, a French name for an older person who greets their friends by saying "Ta mal ou," or "Where does it hurt?" Used in a sentence, in the same week, I became a Tamalou and took some Tamiflu. So,
So I don't think I'm a Tamalou because I don't care how other people feel.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. And I told you, Heath, the superpowers only kick in if your mom takes the Tylenol. You got to pay attention to RFK Jr.
You don't.
Got the whole...
You don't have to. I'm No Illusions.
I'm Eli Bosnick.
I'm Heath Enright, and broadcasting delayed from America's Far Center, we are the Skepticrats.
On this week's episode, Trump gives the troops a talking to.
Republicans get more frightened by a bunny than anyone since Arthurian England.
And ICE completely missed a big opportunity at the UN General Assembly.
But first, the rest of the intro music.
Joining me for headlines tonight are my fellow Skepticrats, No Illusions, and Eli Bosnick. Gentlemen, Tamalou, where does it hurt right now?
Right in the America, Heath. It's right here in my America.
Yeah. Hey, man, offering that as a comedy prompt to a grieving man is like playing funny on expert mode, and I appreciate your vote of confidence, Heath.
Boing. Body, brain, America hurts. It's all fucking hurting. In our lead story tonight, Fox News weekend co-host and head of the U.S. military, the entire thing, Pete Hegseth, made some very important announcements last week. He summoned generals and admirals posted all over the world to Virginia and spent about $6 million on this thing so he could set up a little skit for himself, kind of like the movie Patton, and give a speech about his grievances.
Yeah.
First of all, he'd like us all to know that he's not the Secretary of Defense anymore. He's the Secretary of War because he changed the name. They want it to be war now. So, war is defense, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. But most importantly, there's too much diversity in the U.S. military. That was the major theme when he addressed about 800 white guys and maybe like 10 other people at the highest levels of command.
Right.
Yeah, podcast listener Heath has included a picture of this gathering in our notes, and it might as well be Pete Hegseth pointing a laser pointer at the one black guy in a sea of white. It's
Dude, it is the whitest thing I've ever seen, and I once lived in an RV while playing hacky sack for a living at a surf shop, okay?
Okay.
You did.
That's true.
Pretty white, but this was, even worse. So Peter of the Principal started with his main theme, announcing that the military is done with all the, quote, woke garbage. And apparently woke garbage in his head, that includes being a woman or trans or not a white guy or apparently being a member of a minority religion called climate changeism. He actually said, no more climate change worship. And he also said, no more debris at the end of that.
What?
Not clear.
Okay.
Why?
I have a theory that he thought that's what people were saying to him when they said debriefs, and he doesn't want to go to any more boring meetings, you know?
Debris.
You idiots, the S is silent.
Maybe he just remembered that he said woke garbage, and he panicked and wanted to throw in a synonym for garbage in there because he was complaining about woke.
It's possible.
I don't know.
It's very possible.
Or he's a clutterphobe. Maybe he was talking about that. Would get me on board. No idea. Okay, well, another very important directive for the U.S. military from Pete Hegseth, no fatties.
No fatties. That was in there.
Yeah, in response to nobody nothing, Pete said, quote, "Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon." It's a big problem for him, apparently.
Yeah, everybody has to join my CrossFit gym, and not just because they're shutting down because of the incident with the cameras. It's so we don't get laughed at by France.
But we need to emphasize that the no fatties proviso was a lead-in to introducing Donald Cheeseburger Trump to the stage, right?
Yeah. So from there, he went after another big problem that's holding back American military power on the world stage. That would be the beard. Pete said, "No more beardos," because apparently that's the beardos.
I felt like he was trying to float a slur and it didn't land.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, he'll do that later. Oh, no,
we get
I
one
think
of these
Trump will
going?
do that later.
Yeah,
Trump will try to
there's
do a
some
joke
slurs.
with slurs later. Yeah. So Pete Hegseth obviously can't grow a beard on his unmanly cuckface, so he's banning it for everyone, much like the policy from the famously beloved leader George Steinbrenner of the New York Yankees. Pete also banned long hair and individual expression, adding, quote, "We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans."
What?
Fucking Viking SJWs, am I right, everybody?
So confusing. That's what he was going for, I'm pretty sure.
My enemies list surprises me.
And of course, he added a bunch of nonsense using the word warfighter, as he is wont to do. And that was a natural segue into a policy of ramping up the war crimes, I'm pretty sure. But without technically saying that, he's going to be changing the rules of engagement. And I'm sure it's not in the good way. And then we got the saddest moment. Pete said, quote, "Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us?
Do the voice.
Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us? They will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO." Seriously, he said FAFO. I
Yes,
thought he was
he
going to say
didn't spell- he didn't
FAFO.
sound it. Nope.
He said the letters out. And that's when we got a giant pause while 800 old men were completely silent. And then, like, one single cricket was like, "What?" And then Pete added, "Our troops translate that for you." He tried to ask a younger one.
You guys aren't ready for this yet, but your kids are going to love it.
So it's so fucking funny because when he called it, the press was all like falling over themselves like, what was he doing? Right? Why is he bringing all of these guys together? Will it be a mass firing? Will he demand loyalty pledges to Trump? Are they going to declare war on Russia or Portland? But no. It's a fucking... He wanted to have a line down meeting like he's the shift manager at Chili's trying to sort out all the pot smoking in the walk-in. Jesus.
All right. Everybody hold up your wine key. I can't get this bottle open. Somebody give me one. Yeah. So following the terrible speech from Pete, instead of all those 800 people going back to their jobs of, commanding fleets of nuclear submarines, shit like that, our top military leaders got an even longer speech from Donald Trump. Pete, it's so sad, Pete got his very special speech day, and he wasn't even headlining.
No, he was not.
The fucking opener.
Yeah.
Rough. So Trump gets up to the podium, and as usual, it's just wall-to-wall insanity weave. I'll give you some of the highlights. Trump started by demanding applause in advance. This was bold.
He did.
And threatening everyone if they don't applaud. Exact words. "If you want to applaud, you applaud. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future." Seriously, exact words.
Yeah, he gets it. Guy before you bombs, you got to do a little crowd work, right? You have people clap for someone's birthday, who's drinking tonight. I get it. He's warming them up.
All right, I'm going to do my anti-Trump material. Get your trust. Oh, wait, that's fuck.
Fuck, it's me.
Yeah. So less than 2 minutes in, Trump got mad about some people are still saying Gulf of Mexico. So we had a little angry weave to that for a second. 2 minutes in, he also said, this was terrifying. American cities are going to be training grounds for the U.S. military.
Yeah, a lot of undertones of "I'm going to ask you to kill Americans pretty soon" in the speech.
Yeah. And this is when he tried to make the aforementioned terrible joke about a slur. He tried to make a joke about, the N-word, but then he was like, it's nuclear. So it's
now, I
two
haven't
different
had
ones.
you guys use those yet, so I guess we only get to say nuclear. Am I right? This guy gets it. Come on, people. It's a comedy club. They love this bit in Riyadh. Come on. Got to meet Louis C.K. and Dave Chappelle.
Was Louis C.K. at the thing in Riyadh too?
Yeah, of course he
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Cool.
right.
Name a bad person. They were there.
Yeah, and they went to Riyadh to do a comedy show about their like free speech warrior stuff.
Their free
in Riyadh.
speech thing.
In Riyadh, you cashed a check
Yep.
from the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Fund and complained. Anyway, okay. Moving on to more of Trump's comedy bits. I don't know. He warned everyone to walk slowly down the stairs at one moment because, stairs are tricky. He's talking to generals and he's like, you got to walk down the stairs carefully. He said, be cool, but don't bop down the stairs. Obama would bop down those stairs. And nobody has any idea what's going on. And that's when Trump did a little song for, in his head, the Obama stair bopping, when Obama would bop down the stairs. And Trump was like, "Ba-ba-da-da-da-ba-da," and he does a little dance. And then he got mad at himself for admitting Obama was good at stairs. So Trump was like, but I could do it. But I don't want to. But I could bop down the stairs.
Yeah. I arrest him for stairs? Is that a thing? Can I arrest him for too fast?
Okay, well, one more highlight, and this is the most important one. Trump bragged about getting the good paper for military commissions.
This is a verbatim quote, everybody. It's the craziest thing I've heard for months.
Yeah, he did a whole little weave about the good paper, or as he put it, the paper for when you have your thing signed. That's what he described. He meant military commissions, like the certificate thing. And he continued, exact quote, "We have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper. I said, throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper." End exact
Real quote.
Firm
You
paper.
write a joke. You write a joke.
In truth, we can't afford the old paper because of the tariffs, but with this new paper we're getting is pretty good too.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a shit joke to have right after Eli improvised. Hey, I dare you! I challenge you to tell a joke. Like I should have had something better if I knew you were going to do that. You were going to set me up like that. But, yeah.
You proved me wrong. Our audience are sitting there going, yeah, I know who can write a joke. Master of wordsmith, no illusions can write a joke. That's why I'm the listener and you're the third one.
So, third one here, going to go back into the story. So the speech from Pete lasted about 45 minutes, and then Trump's was about an hour and 15 minutes, and the entire room, it just visibly hated both of them aggressively and actively at every single moment that you saw anybody in this crowd. All the crowd shots I found it's just a Where's Waldo for a black guy and a woman, and also a monolithic hate stare.
Yeah,
so rough.
You can tell that whoever was in the producer's booth was like, crowd shot? Nope, back,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. A couple of videos I saw kept trying it, and they were like, "Yep, no, back, snap it back,
Not one
snap it back to
smiling.
Pete. He is
human.
recovering from a little vomit in his mouth, but just go right back to him." Yeah. Well, I guess it all makes sense that they hated him, considering it's a room of extremely serious people. A lot of them went to like West Point. They've got decades of military experience at the highest levels of leadership, getting summoned from across the world to stop their jobs so they could get whiny notes from a guy with 1 year of deployment in Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
He was mansplaining like to the next power. This needs a new word. It's a giant auditorium of almost exactly 0 women because of him.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He's a sexist lunatic, so he fired most of the women in the top leadership positions, and he didn't have any women left to do his mansplaining at. So he summoned the literal highest level experts in military leadership to give a lecture about military leadership, during which he clansplained the problem with DEI from inside his own ass. My favorite summation came the next day from one of the military officials who had to attend this thing, who said, "Could have been an email."
Sure could have. And in putting the later in legislature news, our American listeners may have noticed a distinct lack of government over the weekend, and that's because the government has been shut down, or at least the good parts have been. ICE is still operating like nothing changed, except for the Bill of Rights existing, but the rest of the government is in the state of slowly powering down that we've come to associate with legislative petulance. Though, to be honest, given the direction the federal government is going, you could make a good argument that we're better off without it for the time being.
Yeah, the good parts of the government were powering down since fucking January 21st.
Yeah, right.
You guys remember when the government shutdown was such a huge deal? An entire season of The West Wing hinged on it, and now it's fucking daylight savings time. We're like, is that happening again?
Yeah.
It always worked out in the West Wing. Everybody had great ideals.
Not here. Now, of course, as ever, the big question hanging over the politics of this thing is who American voters are going to blame for it. And according to every public opinion poll I've seen, it's overwhelmingly the party that controls the White House, the Judiciary, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Get that, what? But according to partisan tirades illegally inserted into the out-of-office email messages of furloughed federal employees, quote, "This could have been avoided if the Democrats voted for the clean continuing resolution to keep the government open," end quote. Or,
this could have been an email. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah. Or, in case that's too subtle, you could go to the website of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, whose homepage is dominated by a white-on-red banner that reads, quote, "The radical left in Congress shut down the government. HUD will use available resources to help Americans in need," end quote.
Okay, if Republicans use available resources to help Americans in need, the government reopens.
Right,
that's the fight,
Yeah.
I mean, also, they stop being Republicans at that
there's
point.
that.
But that's the one demand from Democrats, just for health care instead of housing in this case.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I know I say this every time Republicans hit a new low, and I know the answer is going to be no, because you guys are smart and I'm stupid, but can we please keep this level of vitriol when we're back in power, right? Just a banner on the HUD when Elizabeth Warren is president that says, like, your Republican uncle can't read this website without moving his lips. We refuse to take it down.
We can do that.
We can, yeah. Now, to be clear, despite the Trump tweets that are being crammed into government communications here, the shutdown is not the fault of the radical left in Congress. There is no radical left in Congress. God, my kingdom for a radical left in Congress. It's instead being led by the right-leaning capitalists who realize we'll riot if they don't share the medicine that we call the left in America. And their impetus for the shutdown is the Republican plan to discontinue tax credits from the Affordable Care Act that keep my personal insurance cost from tripling. Probably do the same for yours. Democrats are also insisting that the funding resolution reverse Trump's cuts to Medicaid and a few of their other attempts to wrench health care from the grasp of the masses. That is literally the only point of contention, right? Should poor people have access to health care? Republicans are a no, and that's why the government is shut down.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so indulge me for a little econ nerd stuff.
No.
Just for a second. Just for scope, the income for Obamacare eligibility, ACA eligibility, it caps at about $62,000 a year of income. And even at the highest end of that, you definitely need some support to get even very basic health coverage with like a huge deductible. For even more scope, $62K puts you in the 90th percentile of individual earners. So the question of poor people getting health care is a question of 90% of people getting health care.
Yes, right.
About 90% of Americans can't afford capitalized medicine. Maybe we shouldn't have capitalized medicine. I don't know.
Also, 90% of Americans are poor. That's a problem, too, right?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of other things 90% of people can't afford, too.
Yeah, housing, for example. Now, of course, one way this could end would be the Republicans agreeing not to strip health coverage from millions and millions of people. Another way would be for the Democrats to cave and tell us they just need to reach out to disaffected white voters in Pennsylvania some more. Forgive me for thinking the latter is more likely than the former. Another path forward, of course, is the nuclear option favored by Marjorie Taylor Greene. By that, I mean ending the filibuster in the Senate. When it comes to nuclear options favored by that lunatic, I feel like you have to clarify you're not talking about nuking Hakeem Jeffries.
Thank you. I was actually curious, okay?
Yeah. Just to be clear, though, Democrats do need to reach disaffected voters in Pennsylvania of all races, or we keep losing the White House. And same for a handful of other states at a minimum. But a great way to do that is not caving on issues like healthcare and economic justice overall. Don't get distracted. Democrats, your answer to every single fucking question you get is shh, tax the rich, Epstein files. That's it. That's all.
Right. There you go.
Or Heath and I both have ideas.
Okay,
we
tax
both
the
have
rich.
ideas.
It was a cool idea, but tax the rich, Epstein files.
Compliment sandwich. Thank you.
That is not an or. Now,
The thing he beeped was a good idea, though.
it's important to note that assuming the shutdown doesn't end the day that we record this episode, which is a pretty comfortable assumption since Congress won't be in session that day. This is already the third longest government shutdown in American history, right? Now, we've done this 10 times since 1980, and 7 of them have been resolved within 3 days, 1 within 5. The exceptions were a 16-day shutdown under Obama, a 21-day shutdown under Clinton, and the current record-holding 35-day shutdown under Trump 1.0. In all 3 instances, voters rightly blamed Republicans, and Republicans backed down.
Guys, maybe it's time for me to re-up my blog. I feel like this time it's going to be a hit. Are you feeling this? I'm feeling this.
Now, of course, unlike previous shutdowns, this one comes under a government that seems to kind of want to shut down anyway. Right? Trump seems to invite this shutdown as an excuse to further eviscerate the federal workforce. Like that was his literal threat, right? Shut down the government, and I'm going to take it out on the people who work for the government. Now, so far, he hasn't made good on this promise, and it seems like most of his underlings realize that would be legally shaky to begin with. But it does seem like an extended federal shutdown would be in Putin's best interests, so I feel like we should expect that.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, dealing with a shutdown against Republicans is tricky. They're political terrorists. It's like playing any game of weird chicken with Eli, and you look over and he's smiling, and you're like, what the fuck is, I don't want to play anymore. Why is
in
he
my
smiling?
defense, I thought we were just hanging out. Guys. I thought we were just hanging out, putting Cheetos in our butts.
Yeah.
No.
I heard this described as like playing chicken with Thelma and Louise. That's what it's like, doing a shutdown against
There you go.
Republicans.
Yeah. Now, I also want to point out that the last shutdown ended because air traffic controllers, who were being forced to work without pay through the shutdown, started calling in sick en masse, crippling air travel in the U.S. And given how understaffed and under-equipped the FAA is at the moment, I feel like it's not going to take 35 days to reach their breaking point this time around. Or at least I hope it isn't. Or even better, hey, I hope we can resolve this in some way other than breaking the will of the people who make sure our airplanes don't crash into each other.
All right, everybody. Pizza party and showing of Pushing Tin one more time. How are we feeling?
No, but look, if I'm being honest, even if it takes grinding air traffic to a complete fucking halt in this country, I support the Democrats standing firm here. What the Republicans want to do with healthcare here is homicidal. Right, a fuckload of people will literally die because of it. It's bad guy from a comic book levels of evil, and we should oppose it with every weapon at our disposal. Also, funding a fascist government is immoral to begin with, even if it keeps the trains running on time, which, to be clear, it doesn't.
Yeah. Hitler would never hire the guy from Road Rules. That would be Hitler was so much better than that.
Right?
So much better.
That was a weird sentence I said, but you get what I'm saying?
But you're right, though. That's the fucked up thing, is that you're right.
And in more like evil bunny news, last week the National Football League announced that Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, a.k.a. Bad Bunny, would be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. And you know what that means.
What are the guys talking about? It's the newest, the greatest.
Republican.
Freak out.
That's right, Republicans are freaking out that the anti-Trump pro-LGBTQ performer will be center stage on TV's most watched night, with conservative commentator Greg Price tweeting, quote, "The NFL chose Bad Bunny to perform the Super Bowl halftime show, despite the fact that he recently said he wouldn't perform in the continental United States again because ICE is deporting illegal aliens," end quote. He accompanied this tweet with a very obviously AI-generated video of the performer echoing this claim because he's afraid that ICE might raid his shows.
Okay, I'm going to call bullshit. Greg Price does not care about the halftime show. Greg Price is taking a shit and getting another sandwich, like a lot of us are doing.
Right.
Now, to be clear, Bad Bunny has spoken about his hesitancy to perform in America, and he has expressed worry about ICE raids at his shows. But don't worry, DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin accused the artist of, quote, fear-mongering, and insisted that, quote, ICE is not raiding concert venues, end quote. Not adding yet.
Which gets all the more awkward because, like, immediately after the NFL made this announcement, DHS announced that ICE agents would be dispatched to the Super Bowl. So I hope you're sitting down for this one. It looks like the spokesperson for the Trump administration was knowingly telling a lie.
Yeah, crazy. But is Bad Bunny a demon? I'm so glad you asked, podcast listener. In a tweet with 2.7 million views at the time of writing this, right-wing commentator, the Red-Headed Libertarian, no, that's not what that word means, said, quote, Bad Bunny is a demonic Marxist who's been granted the largest stage with the greatest audience in the middle of a Christian revival. This is by design.
Okay, Demonic Marxist is my new Super Bowl halftime cover band, and was almost the name of Scathing Atheist.
We are in a spiritual war, and once you see it, you can't unsee it, end quote. The tweet was accompanied by video proof that sometimes when Bad Bunny performs, the lights are red.
Oh, red.
Demon.
Much like your disgusting recessive demon hair.
Okay.
Red-headed libertarian? Gross.
All right, so
What are you, Irish? Ugh.
So nothing brings me as much joy as the fact that no matter how much shit they get their filthy fucking hands on, Christians will always be losing a war that only they are fighting.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Now, right-wing filmmaker and creator of future GAM documentary The War on Children, Robbie Starbuck, was far more loquacious, saying, quote, Roger Goodell and the NFL just decided to make the Super Bowl political by picking Bad Bunny as the 2026 Super Bowl music act. The guy literally says he isn't touring the U.S. because of Trump's ICE raids and just released a video mocking President Trump. Also, most of his songs aren't even in English. This is not a pick designed to unite football fans or let people just enjoy the show. It was a pick designed to divide fans, and no doubt, Bad Bunny will find some way to push a woke message. Are NFL owners in on this idiocy, or are they just culturally that disconnected from reality and how Roger uses the NFL to push left-wing social issues?
Oh, yeah, that famous
Roger
leftist
Goodell?
Roger Goodell.
The
yes.
SJW named Roger Goodell?
Roger Goodell, yeah. He concludes, is it that hard to pick a unifying music act who doesn't want to peddle woke propaganda? Does this guy really scream American football to anyone? Be for real with me. No one thinks he does. This isn't about music. It's about putting a guy on stage who hates Trump and MAGA.
All right, well, Bad Bunny can do whatever he wants, but here's what I'm rooting for. He comes out with all his Bad Bunny dancers, and they all take a knee. Colin Kaepernick takes off a mask to reveal he's one of the dancers.
Ooh.
Double birds the cameras. They all walk off.
Okay, that's pretty fucking good. But yeah, no, God forbid the NFL, which starts every game with a jingoistic salute to American imperialism, forcibly removed the end racism tag from the end zones when Trump got reelected, and where 3/4 of the games had a fucking moment of silence for Charlie goddamn Kirk, might get political, right? That would suck.
Yeah, that would be awful.
Really ruin the
awful.
sport.
But of course, not everyone on the right sees this as bad news. Fox Across America host Jimmy Fallon advised his viewers not to, quote, freak out over the choice, saying, don't be mad that we have a cross-dresser who doesn't speak English doing the halftime show, because if Kamala Harris won, he would have been a cabinet member. You wouldn't have got 10 minutes. You would have got 4 years, end quote.
So, well, this is the whole problem that they have, right? Like, they don't understand why they don't have the culture if they've got the government. But, like, you got the government through gerrymandering and electoral college shenanigans and bribing the Supreme fucking court. That strategy's never going to translate to cultural supremacy.
No, one might argue the opposite.
Yes, right.
So yeah, I have to admit, sort of, that I'm not super familiar with Mr. Bunny's music, but he's pissing off conservatives. He's ruining their favorite sports ball game. And with that kind of introduction, I might just have to start listening.
Okay, I would straight up challenge a motherfucker not to like my Porto Bonito. Genuinely.
Is that a sandwich?
No.
Sounds good.
It does sound good.
Thank you.
It is good.
It's holding me in the light this episode, Heath, then, right?
And in Cowabunga news, UNGA, we're going to talk about the UNGA. That's the United Nations General Assembly.
I stared at that for so long trying to figure. So is it a cow thing? Where's the cow?
So for the younger listeners, many, many years ago, America used to be part of this like an international community thing called the United Nations. It was pretty cool. Nothing really got accomplished, but it was pretty cool in theory. They would try. Anyway, we're basically done with that, but we still let them have their little meetings in New York City. We gave them a building. Well, they kicked off this year's new session at the end of September, and Donald Trump's brief visit led to a delightful soap opera of petty grievances, big feelings, and our president demanding an official investigation into being sabotaged by the UN.
Yeah, I plan to do the same thing at QED this year, so I get it.
Okay, like the elevator didn't stop. They're just always that slow. So, yeah, I'm really narrow casting the fuck out of that joke, but if you've been to QED...
You get it. You do get it.
So, before we get to the UNGA itself, let's talk about traffic in New York City. As a person who lived in New York City, it's important to remember that stupid traffic is the reason that international cooperation is untenable. You can't have it. You can't have it. You get big motorcades full of people with insane immunity from crimes, and they block everything. For example, Donald Trump and his motorcade blocked everything. And that led to French President Emmanuel Macron getting stuck on a street corner with a roadblock in his way. And the exchange that followed was captured on video. Macron explained to a police officer that he's the president of France. And this NYPD cop was like, cool, man, it's blocked. You can't go. Then Macron said, I negotiate with you. It went badly. He didn't win the negotiation with the cop. Then Macron took out his phone and called Donald Trump. And then he made hard eye contact with the cop while saying something like, hello, Mr. President of the United States, who picks up my phone calls. I'm talking to you right now. I'm waiting in the street because everything's frozen for you. But he still had to wait. The cop was like,
yeah. Yeah, the only way that would have been a better emblem of the NYPD is if the cop would have let him get murdered by a homeless guy while he waited. But other than that,
while the cop arrested a black guy for selling cigarettes, yeah.
And one other detail in the lead up to the new session, delegations from all over the world had already arrived in New York, and that's when the Department of State announced that diplomats from Iran were banned from buying anything at Costco during their visit. This was published in the Federal Register, and the rule applies to all officials from Iran and their family members, barring them from, quote, acquiring luxury goods without State Department permission. And apparently that now specifically includes, I guess, large pallets of luxury goods, like the ones at Costco. Also, no buying regular stuff at Costco or any other wholesale club store. Sam's Club and BJ's were listed as forbidden examples as well.
No, I get it. Full-size candy bar prices at Sam's Club are unbeatable this time of year. This is striking a blow for freedom.
Look, you can have your nuclear program or a 32-pack of Eggo protein waffles for just $10.94. You can't have both, damn it.
Yeah, it's a weird pressure. All right, that brings us to the UNGA itself. For some reason, the UN gave Donald Trump a speaking slot, and when he showed up, he was met almost immediately with the first act of sabotage. Sabotage. Thank you. He got on a very small escalator with Melania, and it quickly stopped, at which point the ghost of Mitch Hedberg was like, temporarily stairs, sorry for the convenience. And the Trumps had to climb like 15 entire stairs. Donald, of course, was furious about that.
For days.
Yeah. Then he finally got to the podium for his address, and the teleprompter didn't work for 5 seconds. They fixed it. It was fine. But that was prank number 2, I guess. Nailed it. And then after the speech, Melania told Donald that she couldn't hear a word he was saying. So the UN provides earpieces with translations of every speech for people who don't understand the language being spoken. So the main PA speakers are at a pretty low volume. I guess that's what happened. And maybe for Trump, they went a little bit lower. So got him. 3 pranks. Nailed it. Sabotage.
Hey, also, is Melania the best judge of how clearly and understandably someone's speaking?
That's a very good point.
Is that who we're going with?
Yeah, what should have happened, UN should have hired Eli to translate the speech into Melania for her earpiece. Hell, I would have paid for it if they just let him do it.
Chyler.
If we could just, if you've got somebody doing ASL and then you've got Eli doing Melania during every speech.
Exactly. Yeah, but you got to picture me in the coat.
And the Carmen Sandiego hat.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the very real response we got from the President of the United States about this. He posted, "A real disgrace took place at the United Nations yesterday. Not one, not two, but three very sinister events."
Very?
This wasn't a this wasn't a coincidence. This was triple sabotage at the UN. Sabotage, Eli?
Sabotage.
There it is. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. He also added, "It's amazing that Melania and I didn't fall forward onto the sharp edges of these steel steps face first."
Yeah, that would have been. Sorry, what I sort of went to.
Look. I know generative AI is bad, right? We can all agree that it is bad.
So we should do a sketch in real life. Okay, so Trump also fired up an investigation by the Secret Service into the sabotage, and he demanded an official investigation by the UN as well. In response, the Office of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres released a statement in tacit laughter quotes explaining that, yes, they'll be launching a probe to find their internal prank moles. Yes, we will. And of course, Fox News was furious on behalf of their dear leader, including Jesse Waters, who said, exact quote, "What we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it." End quote. All his co-hosts immediately started doing like, walk it back. That was a really big crime. It's a really big crime. You got to walk it back. And Jesse walked back his terrorism in a snit.
Yeah, they're like, come on, Jesse, have some sense of decorum. These aren't unhoused people you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah. Since when is talking about murdering anybody that isn't Charlie Kirk a crime? Okay, people are so sensitive these days.
Yeah, so according to the statement from the UN after their initial probe of their internal prank moles, it was actually one of the White House videographers who tripped the safety device that stopped the escalator. That's what happened. And they also explained that none of this was a sabotage plot against Donald Trump. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're lying. The UN's lying. And they're doing an amazing low-level prank war, and now they're gaslighting the President of the United States, and it's my favorite thing. I want them to keep doing this forever.
It's like the most effective thing the UN has ever done, really.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a thing.
If you think about it. And in missing the Denmark news, the Danes are an odd bunch. Whether it's the national song Hula Gulen, the culinary exploration of roasted cricket wings the nation calls Ferengor, or the fact that I just made those two things up and you all believed me for a second, we've got to admit that Denmark is a weird place.
I was like 100% certain. I was like, I know two weird things. That's not surprising.
And that was once again brought to our attention this week as the Danish zoo requested people donate their pets to be fed to the animals.
Oh my God. Yeah, the name of that zoo, A Farm Upstate. Yeah.
Okay. That it sounds not great, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where, you say the idea in a calm European accent and it becomes reasonable because it's like kind of reasonable.
I don't think so. We're going to find out.
We're going to try it out. All right.
Let's look at.
Let's see what you do.
In a Facebook post, the zoo wrote, quote, light bulb emoji.
Not a good start.
Not a good start. Did you know that you can donate smaller pets to Aalborg Zoo? Chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs make up an important part of the diet of our predators.
Can you do it a little bit more like Danish?
Especially the European lynx, which needs whole prey, which is reminiscent of what it would naturally hunt in the wild. Cat paws emoji.
Nope.
In zoos, we have a responsibility to imitate the natural food chain of the animals in terms of both animal welfare and professional integrity. Handshake emoji.
Hey, zoo guy. No emojis.
Sure. Yeah.
The emotion you're creating is Chipper, kill my pet. Chipper with kill my pet. It's weird. Don't do emojis.
There's also where will we get more rabbits if we can't have Mr. Flopper's premise here that I kind of want to reject. Too.
Yeah. The post concludes, quote, if you have an animal that has to leave here for various reasons, feel free to donate it to us. The animals are gently euthanized by trained staff and are afterwards used as fodder.
Dude, you were done before fodder. You didn't have to get to fodder there. Also, you're good without the adverb for euthanized. I feel like,
Yes.
okay, gently's good, but it's a brevity moment, man.
Also,
skip the adverb there.
Like the addition of gently makes you wonder what the alternative was, right? Do they
Absolutely,
have?
yes. Yeah, it makes you go, oh, you don't do it gently because that's how you. And I will be killing them. Normal. It concludes. That way, nothing goes to waste, and we ensure natural behavior, nutrition, and well-being of our predators. Recycling emoji, heart
Come
emoji, end quote.
All right, you guys think recycle emoji is a bit much? You know what? I'll add a heart. No? 2 hearts.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm Melania's brother.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So whether it was because of the excessive use of emojis or just the weird let us feed your pets to a lynx vibes, the zoo received a bit of pushback.
Did it?
The post is now locked with an edit that reads, quote, update. Due to much international interest, we have chosen to close the comment section on this post. We understand that the post awakens feelings and interest.
What?
But hateful and malicious rhetoric is not necessary, and we urge you to preserve the good tone. We elaborate and are happy to answer questions in the inbox or by email. Smiley face emoji.
We're not gonna, but we'd be happy to. See, it feels like when we tell people to email Heath their complaints directly.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah. And if you're
Okay,
thinking
the awakens feelings and interest felt like they got weird sexual like stuff,
100%,
right? And they had to
yes.
shut it down for
a million,
partially
they
that,
really
too.
should have
It's
sprung for
Denmark,
GPT
so-
Pro. Yeah,
They're famously sexual about zoos.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what we
okay,
always say.
but I'm so glad you brought that up, Heath, because if you are thinking to yourself, hey, am I confusing my Nordic nations, or has this kind of controversy happened in Denmark once before? No, podcast listener, it has not happened just once before.
What?
Quote, in 2015, the country's Odense Zoo made international headlines for its decision to kill and publicly dissect a 9-month-old female lion in front of school children as a means to control the facility's lion population, a practice the zoo had been carrying on for decades.
Okay, if I get too strokey, Denmark Zoo for me.
Denmark
I
Zoo,
don't like this.
absolutely,
If if I can get dissected as for school, that's good.
Yeah, in front of kids. Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, oh, there's just that one. No. Continuing the quote, a year before, in the capital city of Copenhagen, animal rights activists were horrified to learn that a healthy 2-year-old giraffe known as Marius had been euthanized and the remains fed to the zoo's lions. The
not
Copenhagen Zoo said putting Marius down had been necessary to avoid inbreeding among its giraffe population, end quote.
Okay, just so many ways to avoid the inbreeding there,
Yup.
right? Like, that one was just a straight up murder. I can't defend that one.
Especially since in that case, like multiple private parties stepped up and said, hey, we're actually like set up to take giraffes. We'll get them fixed or whatever, but we'll take your giraffe for you. And they're like, no, we have to kill him.
We're going to kill him.
We already ungently
Gently.
euthanized.
So look, I'm going to go ahead and say something brave here. I know I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. Something weird is going on in the zoos of Denmark.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's a satanic murder conspiracy among Danish zookeepers, but
I think.
if there's not, they're in need of some PR training.
Aren't
you know
they,
what I'm
though?
saying? Yeah.
And finally tonight, in Can We Compromise by Just Throwing Him Down a Well and Making a Wish news. Trump moved one step closer to sword-fighting giraffes in the Coliseum last week when the U.S. Treasury released the first draft of a new $1 coin it hopes to issue next year. The front features a profile of Trump except with people hair, and the back features Trump raising his fist defiantly after courageously enduring that malicious ear boo-boo in Pennsylvania under the words, "Fight, fight, fight." Even more jarring is the bottom of the front side, which reads 1776 to 2026, like the bottom of the country's tombstone.
Okay, I looked at this, though. There's no missing ear chunk, no blood. It's fucking
Right?
weak sauce. Like, commit to the hoax bit that you pulled off. It was amazing. Just commit to it.
I do enjoy his promise that the country will be over next year, though. That sort of gives me something to look forward
doesn't
to.
it? Yeah. So this is apparently the bright idea of U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach. Now, if you've ever heard of him, it would be through his role as the Trumpiest Georgia state senator. He made national news once for defying COVID protocol and exposing the entire Georgia State Senate to the virus after he tested positive. Then he went on to serve an indictable role in Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. And for his ethical malleability, he was awarded a spot in Trump's cabinet that he's entirely unqualified for. So instead of doing that job, he's using his position to own the libs.
Okay, take away the words Georgia and state from that, and that's like 90% of his administration.
Yeah, right, it is.
I just like the idea of Alexander the Great looking at this coin and being like, it's a little much. It's a little much.
Now, I'm guessing Beach got the idea after he saw news stories about 2 Republicans in Congress trying to push through a bill for a Charlie Kirk commemorative coin. And when he saw how pissed we libs got about it, he decided to up the ante. And yes, the drafts of the coin have a very, we only had a few hours to put this together look to them. Of course, it's literally illegal for the Treasury to mint coins with living people on them. But I do see one compromise on that issue that I could get behind.
What if that was the one law the Trump administration followed? Right?
Yeah.
We're just like, spend the rest of the presidency trying to convince him civil rights are Treasury policy as well.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, so to be clear, I don't think we're actually going to see a Donald Trump dollar coin, though I doubt any law against it is going to be what stifles the effort. The Treasury will be issuing a new dollar coin in 2026 to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and all the legislation that authorized that coin said was that it had to be, quote, emblematic of the United States semi-quincentennial, end quote. And you could make a pretty good argument that the best possible symbol of that would be the face of an unqualified, racist, genocidal, overweight, old white guy. So, I mean, I guess they could.
Yeah.
There.
The only way you get more emblematic of now is it's crypto. It's a meme.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yes! They release a fucking NFT for the 250th anniversary.
Oh, God damn it. All right, on that note, we're going to close it out. Thanks to No Illusions. Thanks to Eli Bosnick. And thanks to all the listeners who liked us and followed us on all the various internets. Please keep doing that. Please keep listening, and please keep telling your friends. And if you find the naive stupidity of our giving away a free show business model to be oddly charming, you can send us gifts of money at patreon.com/Skepticrat. Just like Tom Kennedy, Pro Skills, Doug and Tab, Chatoyer Huggins, That One Math Teacher, Punch Your Local Nazis, somebody's name. That's just somebody's name that I'm reading. Auntie Jen, also, I kind of like their name. I like their name. Auntie Jen also. Heather Middow, Lawrence, Mike Legard, Wanda Bean, Jazzy Bear, and Quinn. If we're ever at a party together, these wonderful people have the option to call next drugs in the cipher. You get next if you want it. All conflicts, if we're all at the party, or some of us, conflicts settled by rock, paper, scissors, or a tournament if it's multiple people.
Got it.
Get ready. You don't have the option.
I'm bad at it.
And whether or not you're feeling financially benevolent like those fine people, if you enjoyed our brand of whimsy and you'd like to hear more dick jokes free of charge, check out our brother and sister shows, The Scathing Atheist, GodAwfulMovies, D&D Minus, and Citation Needed, available in all the podcast places. We just have one last thing. Let's compliment that penis. Special thanks to Ryan Slotnick of Evil Giraffes on Mars. He's the creator of the virtuosic musical stylings you heard today, which were used with permission. You should definitely check them out using the links we'll provide or by Googling the only band called Evil Giraffes on Mars. Until next time, catchphrase sign off.
Can we trick Donald Trump into doing good things if we tell him he's getting a deal? Like, if I ever buy something for my house, my mom will be like, oh, Eli, I don't know. Like, anything. It doesn't have to be nice, right? It can be like a rug or a toilet sponge. And she'll be like, how is your money, right? And so what I do is I'm like, it was on 99% off. And she's like, oh, I gotta get one too, right? That's how you do it, right?
Can't afford not to.
I think we can afford not to our way into like universal health care and UBI. And just like, listen to this, Donald. We are getting this money, which would go to every American on a monthly basis for free. It's free money. We are printing it, Donald. I don't know. They're going to kill me when I tell you. They're going to kill me when I tell you. You're breaking my balls, Don.
Fun fact, we can't afford not to with several things that
we can't afford not to.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah,
That's actually true. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see how you make that racist enough for him to get excited about it. But
That's true. That's fair. Universal basic income, and there's nothing more basic than white women. Am I right, Donald? Let's get this baby signed and going. Gentle euthanasia.
The preceding podcast was a production of Puzzle and the Thunderstorm LLC, copyright 2025, all rights reserved.